Hey y'all, it's your favorite country girl, Renee Davis, and I'm back with another episode of Love Kills by Melanin Mayhem. If you didn't know, honey, let me tell you, Love Kills is guaranteed to make your blood pressure go up and get your cussing game on point because I am spilling all the tea on crimes of passion that prove relationships can be complicated and deadly. You see, Love Kills brings you the stories of relationships and situationships that went hella wrong and resulted in somebody getting their water turned off permanently, if you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna give you the who, the what, the where, and why I think this shit is crazy. We gonna get in and we gonna get out just like a robbery. I got a story. You wanna hear it? Well, here we go. This week we are headed to Cali, baby. And we ain't talking about the glitz and glamour of LA or Hollywood. Honey, we not kicking it in the Bay Area either. Nah, we going a little grimy this week. I'm gonna take y'all to the Mule Creek State Prison in Northern California. Today we're gonna talk about the love on lockdown style. Now, you probably heard a little something about this story, but of course you know I gotta put my own little spin on it. And I'm gonna be real with you. I had another episode planned, but I'm sick as a dog still, and this fever is running higher than a light bill in July. But sick or not, it just wouldn't sit right with my soul if I didn't deliver as promised. So, you know, I like to bring y'all stories that are already tied up with a bow. And this week, I'm getting in and out, like I said, like a robbery for sure. And I felt like this case would be a good one to throw out here and see what y'all got to say about it. Because while it's not completely all said and done, it is kind of almost said and done, and you'll understand what I mean by that as I get into the story. So go on ahead and grab you some tea like me, or if you're doing it grown folk style, gonna get you one of them adult beverages, because let me tell you something, I got the tale of two women who died during conjugal visits. And if you didn't already know, a conjugal visit is when the prison gives an inmate a chance to clap them cheeks in a love shack, courtesy of the state, for a few days, like they ain't serving a life sentence. Child, let's go ahead and get into this shit. So we're gonna rewind to the summer of 2024. That was just last year. It is the 4th of July weekend, and while folks were outside popping fireworks and eating ribs and shit, a woman by the name of Tania Thomas was behind the fence, staying down with her man. Honey, she could have been anywhere else in the free world because she was indeed a free woman. A free woman with a husband that was locked up in Mule Creek. Now, Tania, she was 47 years old. And I'm going to tell you, outside looking in, Miss Tania was a very pretty woman. She lived in Fresno, and this husband that I mentioned, his name, Anthony Curry. Well, look at here. I understand that when you take vows and shit, you supposed to be down for better, for worse, sickness and in health. But ain't nowhere in them vows say you gotta stay down for a prison bed. Now, some might say that falls under the for better or for worse because going to prison is some for worse shit. But if we talking a minimum amount of time, maybe that might be true for some. Not the country girl, though. Baby, been there, done that in my 20s, and I will never, with a capital N, never do that shit again. If you can't get out on bail and handle this shit with some probation, you're on your own, son. I see you on the other side. But I understand. If it's your husband, your wife, I think 5 years or less state time should be the max that you should be willing to stay down. Because, you know, state time, that's like maybe 2.5 years, if that. You know, if you get a little class under your belt or get some of that first offender status, you might even be out at 18 months. But, see here. Tanya's man, Anthony, this nigga, he wasn't coming home. You see, he was already at home, his new home for the rest of his life. That man was doing life for attempted murder and carjacking. You heard me. Life. Forever? Forever, ever? For sure. And you see, that puts shit in a different light, my G. We can be friends, but please understand divorce papers gonna follow shortly thereafter that sentencing. Matter of fact, we knew at the trial what type of time you was facing, so I already had the papers drawn up. Shit. When the judge said life and they was about to take your ass away, I'd have been like, excuse me, judge, can you hold up just one moment and let him sign these papers right quick? It won't take but a little hot minute, baby. Shit. Life? But you know, everybody ain't like the country girl, and Tania was standing by her man. Now, the way I put that makes you think that Tania and Anthony had been together since before he got his little time. But you see, I was just painting a picture of how the only circumstance that I would be in that situation such as this to have a prison inmate for a husband. But you see, in Tania's case, it wasn't like that. Oh no. You see, Anthony got sent up the river in July of 2008. Now, in his defense, I'll say this. It was life with the possibility of parole. Parole not likely, but yet and still it wasn't off the table. You see, 2008 is when he went to prison. But him and Tania, they didn't get married until 2023. Let me let that sink in for a minute. So yeah, Anthony had been locked up with a life sentence for like 15 years when Tania decided that he was the lid to her pot. A nigga locked up for life was her good man, Savannah. Now, I'm not going to drag Tania because she paid dearly for her lapse in judgment. Plus, I already know y'all dragging her, so ain't no need for me to pile on with the obvious. But it gets better. Just wait. Listen to this shit. Tania met Anthony in 1999, and they kicking it or whatever, and then Tania gets pregnant. Now, when Ant finds out, oh, baby, he ghosts that ass with the quickness never to be seen again. So Tania, she goes on and she carries this baby to term, and while she is in labor with this absentee nigga's baby, she see his ass on the news. On the news? Yes, honey, on the news. Guess what? Anthony has shot a woman named Sonata Browning in the head and dumped her body. But baby, Sonata had a praying grandmother, 'cause she didn't die even though she had a bullet to the dome. She lived, but oh, bitch your ass, she was fucked up. She was blind and partially paralyzed, but she was able to tell the police who did her dirty, and that's how Anthony ended up with this life sentence that we talking about. Now, mind you, Tania see this shit while she in labor with this nigga's baby. Instead of a sigh of relief that she dodged a bullet literally and figuratively, somehow, some way, she starts conversating with this nigga after he is locked down for life. And then she marries this nigga. Secretly, mind you. Didn't tell nobody but God. I wonder why. 'Cause your people would have been on your ass to not give this nigga the time of day. In full disclosure, Anthony's sentence was 30 years to life as the sentence. He already had one parole hearing where they was like, boy, stop. And so he was telling Tania, hey, baby, just wait for me, okay? And Tania was like, okay. Moving on. So, yeah, Tania, I guess, is technically still a newlywed because she's only been married almost a year at this time by the time that she rolls up with her overnight bag for this 4th of July weekend, like this was a little vacation at an Airbnb. Now, just in case you are not familiar with what a conjugal visit is, it really is like a hall pass from the prison to get your swerve on. The technical description in California is that they are overnight visits intended to support family connections and successful rehabilitation. Inmates on death row, convicted of sex crimes, or under disciplinary restrictions are ineligible for considerations. Also, inmates have to show themselves for a head count at least 4 times within a 24-hour period. So, a motherfucker that ain't gonna never get out of prison is eligible to get a state-sponsored freak-off long as he ain't on death row, raped his way to prison, or been getting in trouble. Got it? Okay, moving on. So, Tania has checked in for her 4-day conjugal visit. 96 hours of food, fucking, and fake freedom. And the California Department of Correction, they give these inmates these little mini motel-looking apartments so that they can connect with the family. Ain't no guards in the room, no cameras, just you, your boo, and the consequences of your poor decision-making. And now look, I am not here to judge what makes folks stay loyal to somebody that's locked up, but I am here to call out the fuckery when it turns fatal. Because by the end of day 4, the honeymoon was over and Tania Thomas would be deader than a motherfucker. She was found unresponsive that morning. And it didn't take long before her husband, Mr. Life Sentence himself, for trying to kill a bitch already, he was pointing fingers in every direction except at himself. He ain't know what happened. He don't know how she got strangled. Maybe it was an allergic reaction. Boy, bye. Can you please have several seats, preferably one in an electric chair? Honey, by April of 2025, which was just a few months ago, the state had heard enough. Anthony Curry was officially charged with Tanya's murder. Now, prosecutors say that he strangled her to death during that visit. Of course he did. Stevie Wonder seen that shit. Let me pause right here for a second and ask you a question. What kind of system lets a man with a violent record be alone for 4 days with a woman in a room with no supervision? I'll wait. But I'm going to take it a step further. Why would a woman want to be alone in a room with a man with a violent record of fucking a bitch up, as well as has already fucked me over, left me high and dry with a baby? Like, you can't make this shit up. And just when you think that this is the most tragic state-sanctioned shit that you've ever heard, the devil said, hold my commissary. Let me show you something. Because y'all ain't gonna believe that just 5 months later, almost to the day, this shit happened again at the same damn prison. November 13th, 2024. This time, the woman's name is Stephanie Diane Dowles, also known as Stephanie Brinson. Now, Stephanie is 62 years old, and I ain't mad that Steph was going to go get her back broke. I mean, she is 62. I'm just saying. But at the same time, a woman in her 60s, y'all, gotta go behind the gates of the prison to visit her husband, an inmate named David Brinson, who just so happened to be 10 years younger, clocking in at 52 years of age. Now let me tell you a little bit about David. David is not locked up for writing bad checks or unpaid child support. Oh, no, honey. David is doing time for a quadruple homicide. This nigga dropped 4 bodies at the same damn time. And at the time of this here little conjugal visit, David had been locked up for 30 years. 30. He a OG inmate, seasoned, if you will. And this is the man that she has chosen to spend her golden years with. I mean, I understand they say love is blind, and sometimes it's real dumb too. I mean, shit. Now I looked, and I could not find when Stephanie and David got married. There are no records that I could find, period. So I don't know if they were together before the murderation and life sentencing of it all happened, or was Stephanie perusing, hotinmates.com for a little pen pal action or whatever. But I refuse to believe that if Miss Netta could get Charles, that Stephanie couldn't have found her a little tenderoni out here that was free. Like, again, this is not a bad looking woman. For 62, ma'am looks good. Y'all know black don't crack. So why? How? Okay, let me tell y'all what happened. So Stephanie checks in for an overnight visit. But around 2 o'clock in the morning, David on the line with the prison staff talking about, hey, Stephanie has passed out. Damn. Was the dick going down like that? So, the guards, they come in and they try to revive Stephanie. But she ain't passed out. She ain't breathing no more. So they try to give her CPR, but Stephanie is communing with the law at this point and is pronounced dead at 2:51 in the morning. And once again, just like Anthony, David don't know what the hell happened. Child, ain't nobody believing that shit. So if you fast forward a few months, the coroner finally says that, you know what, Stephanie didn't pass out. She was strangled, just like Tanya. No shit, Sherlock. Another homicide. But this time, no charges are filed. At least not yet. They say David is still under investigation. But I mean, at this point, not to sound callous or anything, but do it really matter to him? He's already killed 4 people. What was one more? Cali ain't gonna put nobody to death, and he's already serving life without parole. So charge him or not, it don't change anything for him. And although his accommodations, they did change. Oh, yeah. He went from serving his time at Mule Creek to the California Healthcare Facility. Now, that's where the sick inmates go. And now, at this point in time, David ain't but 55 years old. So why the fuck is he serving his time at the hospital prison instead of the prison? Nah, fuck that shit. Leave him in a cell in the grimiest spot that you got. Fuck that. I mean, I don't get it. I do not get it. But you best believe that the state is kind of sweating a little bit. We got 2 women, 2 visits, 2 murders, 1 prison. Mule Creek is looking less like a facility and more like a death trap. Now, the part that really pisses me off, California is one of 4 states that still allows conjugal visits. And of course, like I said, they call them family visits to make it sound all cute and shit. But what it really is unsupervised, unmonitored, and unfucking believable. I mean, these visits can last up to 40 hours. That's longer than most hotel stays on Expedia. The fuck? And here's the kicker. Violent offenders are allowed to do this shit, and unless they are on death row or did some sexual shit. So what you're saying is you can murder 4 people and still get a love suite with fitted sheets and a kitchen set, but if your crime was a little sexcapade, that's a no-go. I mean, the logic is non-existent. And these 2 deaths, the California Department of Corrections, they suspended the conjugal visits at Mule Creek. But you a day late and $1 short. I mean, Tania and Stephanie is already gone. You suspending them now ain't gonna bring them back. So let me break it down. 2 women into the gates trying to love men that society had already threw away. And whether it was misguided loyalty or trauma bonding or just the inability to let go, they believed that they were safe because love told them that they were. But what they didn't realize was that once somebody shows you who they are, especially when it's written out in court transcripts and redacted police reports and shit, you better believe they asses. I mean, you cannot lie down with snakes and not expect to get bitten. Now, both families, the families of Tania and Stephanie, they have filed wrongful death lawsuits against the California prison system. And I really don't know how I feel about that. I mean, on the one hand, I do kind of hope that they win. But on the other hand, these women were not forced to go be with these men behind prison walls. These women were not, young and dumb. These were seasoned, been around the block a few times women. You know what I'm saying? They went willingly, knowing that these men were violent, and they chose to put themselves in harm's way. I mean, either way, I don't have a dog in the fight, and ain't no amount of money gonna bring either of these women back or erase the fact that 2 murderers got second chances to kill, courtesy of the state. Child, this here was a 2-for-1 tragedy special where love and loyalty met lockup and left 2 women dead behind prison walls. So what's the moral of the story? Baby, love don't live here. Not in a prison cell, and for damn sure not in the arms of a man who has already shown you that he is capable of taking a life. There are some women out here holding down these inmates like it's a badge of honor, like loyalty to a convict equals your self-worth. But I'm here to tell you, you cannot build a future with a man who is state or federal property for life. It just ain't no way. Now, Stephanie Brinson and Tania Thomas, they should be alive right here, right now. They should be sipping wine and living free and loving on somebody who wasn't serving life. But instead, they went behind the walls to throw feet to Jesus and fucked around and met him in person. So let's talk about this shit on the social media sites, honey. Hit me up. I'm Melanin Mayhem Podcast on IG, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm Melanin Mayhem PC on X. And if you are not in the Facebook group yet, can you please get yourself together and pull up? We are waiting on you, honey. We be cutting up every week, and all we missing is you. Now, before I get out of here, I want to give a special shout out, something that I don't normally do, but somebody asked me so very nicely in my comments to give them a shout out. So, Dr. Dre, It's your birthday. Ooh, she just turned 38 this past Monday. Happy birthday, baby. Happy birthday to you. Don't you fuck around and be on Love Kills, okay? So, y'all, until the next story ends in tears and tragedy and relationships take a big-ass hit, y'all stay safe and play that shit smart. Remember, love and emotions will make you do some crazy shit. Don't get caught up and fuck around and be on an episode of Love Kills. I will see you again in 2 Fridays for another Love Kills situation. And of course, every Wednesday you can catch me for your weekly dose of Melanin Mayhem. Thank you so much for streaming. And the country girl is so out of here because, the sickness of it all. Bye, y'all.
Woo-wee, Nana, you did that. Wow.